Alright, let's get this fucking party started. Hello, Judy. Good to see you here.
Uniform with me, and I'll get to that later. I arrived at the Flag Land Base around about 4 a.m. and went to the Clearwater building where I met Greg Johnson. He took the tapes from me.
Hey, CO Bilf and Antics. Good to see you guys. I feel like trash. So, figure I'll do some fucking note-taking. He is Aaron Saxton. I just recently posted a video about him. Look at the title right down here. 1995 Incom Security Breach. Aaron Saxton Tells All. He is from Australia, and he was in CMO. Sorry to hear you have a headache, Judy. Love you, Antics. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what heat you're talking about, but... or CO Bilf is talking about. But I wish you the best.
Went into the computer room, and then he came back out about uniform with me, and I'll get to that later. I arrived at the Flag Land Base around about 4 a.m. and went to the Clearwater building where I met Greg Johnson. He took the tapes from me. Went into the computer room, and then he came back out about a minute later, and this seemed strange to me because
Damn right, haters gonna hate. You should not give a fuck what any of them think about you. You keep being yourself. You keep being your badass self, Antics.
I knew, based off of the Incom computers, that the encryption time would have to be within the 5 to 10 minute margin. He couldn't possibly have encrypted the systems with the new information so fast, and that was the first alarm bell that rang off in my head. But he gave me the tape back and said, now this is for the Flag Land, for the ship. So I went out to a berthing, and I crashed in a berthing there for a few hours, and then I was taken out to the airport where I flew to Miami. And then from Miami I took Aruba Airlines and flew to Aruba. This is where I was first intercepted. A gentleman on board the flight made it a point to come and sit next to me. He was asking me a lot of questions, and it became quite clear to me that he knew exactly what I was doing on the airline with the suitcase being.
What I do wonder about this moment during Aaron Saxton's recollection is whether or not the man was a plant by Scientology just to try to catch Aaron in some ethics violation.
Strapped to my hand. I told him to get lost, told him I didn't want to speak to him, blah blah blah. When I landed in Aruba, I went through the gates of clearance, and an unusual thing happened. For some reason I was very suspicious of the tapes that I had, and the partition where you go through to get your stamp to go on the island was sealed off, and two armed guards took position behind me and had machine guns pointed at me. the partition gates of clearance, and an unusual thing happened. For some reason, I was very suspicious of the tapes that I had, and the partition where you go through to get your stamp to go on the island was sealed off, and two armed guards took position behind me and had machine guns pointed at me, and they remained there until I finished answering the questions. And I answered the questions and I was allowed to go through. When I got outside, I was met by a man I didn't know who was clearly not a Scientologist. And
my question is, who the fuck were these people?
and I answered the questions and I was allowed to go through. When I got outside, I was met by a man I didn't know who was clearly not a Scientologist. And he knew who I was. I don't know how he knew that. And he took me to a bar called the Talk of the Town. And I stayed there because the ship hadn't docked yet. It was to dock at midnight. Midnight came, and
I'm gonna look up this bar. Talk of the Town. Hotel and Beach Club. By Seal Bilf. Oh no, sorry. By Antics, not Seal Bill. Talk of the Town, Hotel and Beach Club. How close is this to the airport? Apartments. Curious. Cruise terminal. Aruba Airport. Queen Beatrix International Airport. From there, Talk of the Town. 5 minutes. It's far. It's not that far away.
just walking up the gangplank.
We're gonna take into. Fuck. Talk of the Town. Hotel and Beach Club.
Up the ship, and Greg Wilhare pops out. And he's the Inspector General at the time, second only to David Miscavige and the SEAL. He popped out, shook my hand, said, "Thank you for coming aboard," and just rushed me into the place. There was no introduction to the captain or anything. I was just taken into the offices, and Greg Wilhare briefed me that he had been on the ship doing security checking, that Marty Rathburn was on the ship going through conditions and handlings, which I found shocking, because the idea that Marty Rathburn would have doubts on the SEAL was just unreal to me. I mean, the man was a solid icon of the tech. Blew me away.
And he was Inspector General Ethics, I'm pretty sure. Was he IG Ethics? Marty Rathbun, Inspector General RTC. But when was he in that position? Fictional Isle of Kokomo. Mike Love secretly on OT8. Greg Wilhare secretly spotted playing Tammy. Fun. What? Oh, that was 2001. What? Okay. That's some new info. Thank you. I appreciate that.
hear that, but anyway, Greg Wilhair told me he'd security checked the entire ship, and he told me that they believe that the real security breach they were really after was actually on the ship, and he told me to take caution in my mission. So I immediately grabbed, there were 2 computer operators on the ship, one for the ship and then one just for the IAS. And I forget the name of the man for the ship, but I'll never forget the man for the IAS. His name was Viet LeQuang.
I think that's how you spell Viet LeQuang. I'm gonna assume. I'm gonna put a question mark there. I'm actually gonna spell it out. Viet LeQuang. 3 wins. No, let's do groups, all religions, Scientology. Here we go. And we go to Viet. Free wins. I'm assuming this is how you spell his name. No, I didn't want to do that. You stupid fuck. Nope. 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 No, no. Okay, so that's not it. Whoops. Nope. Go back this way. History. Search conversations. Can we look up Viet? No, 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 no. Next one. Viet LeQuang. Here we go. Here's a name. What's this? State of Man Congress. Alright, we got a new name we're adding to the notes. Alright, we're gonna bring that down here. We're gonna load up Scientology people. Viet LeQuang. Go to Q. Viet LeQuang. Copy this info. Source. Hosts. We have IAS computer operator. I think that's what he said.
Computer operators on the ship, one for the ship and then one just for the IAS.
For the ship. For ship. For IAS. It's Viet. I'm gonna say during 1995 income security breach.
And I forget the name of the man for the ship, but I'll never forget the man for the IAS. His name was Viet LeQuang.
Oh wait, hold on, I had a service completion. Service completion. State of Man. Congress, of course. Okay.
What happened is I went to the offices, the computer offices, and there I had the encryption done by the ship operator.
Hang on.
and I offices, the computer offices, and there I had the encryption done by the ship operator. And I quizzed him for a time, and finally he admitted that there was a way to breach this encryption tape, and he told me the exact procedure for it. I asked him if Viet Le Quang would know this, and he said he would, and had the encryption done by the ship operator. And I quizzed him for a time, and finally he admitted that there was a way to breach this encryption tape, and he told me the exact procedure for it. I asked him if Viet Le Quang would know this, and he said he would.
AS asked the operator if there were ways to breach the encryption tapes, to which the operator explained how, told AS that Viet would also know.
So what I did is I then called in Viet Le Quang into the offices and put him
Called to offices
through the same procedures and quizzed him.
and was also quizzed on breaching encryption tapes.
And he wouldn't admit that there was a way to breach the encryption tapes. So finally, I told him how to do it, based off of what the operator had not only told me, but shown me. And Viet Le Quang doubted it, went red in the face, and said, "Oh, I don't think you could really do that." Bang, that was it. HCO, bring order, you're under house arrest.
Whoa, wait, what? HCO?
Viet Le Quang doubted it, went red in the face, and said, "Oh, I don't think you could really do that." Bang, that was it. HCO, bring order, you're under house arrest. Picked up the phone, security, HCO, bring order, now, computer room. Bang, security comes, collects up Viet Le Quang, and off he goes. I immediately tell the computer operator not to leave the office. You're under house arrest. Picked up the phone, security, HCO, bring order, now, computer room. Bang, security comes, collects up Viet Le Quang, and off he goes. I immediately tell the computer operator not to leave the office. I then go and see Greg Wilhere. I tell Greg Wilhere what happened. He goes, "Right, go to your cabin and wait there." So I went to my cabin, waited there. 3 hours later, Greg Wilhere has messengers come and get me. I come and see Greg, and this is what he told me. Now, this is paranoia, okay? You have to believe. This is what he told me, okay? You cannot reconcile this event. He told me that Viet Le Quang had a history that he had just discovered on SearchCheck that he. Okay, you have to believe. Cabin, waited there. 3 hours later, Greg Wilhere has messengers come and get me. I come and see Greg, and this is what he told me. Now, this is paranoia, okay? You have to believe. This is what he told me, okay? You cannot reconcile this event. He told me that Viet Le Quang had a history that he had just discovered on SearchCheck, that he had worked for the NSA, that he worked for the FBI, and possibly even the CIA. This is what he told me. And it blew me away, because Greg Wilhere just told me he sex-checked everybody on the ship. So how did he miss that? This is Greg Wilhere. But you don't question it. Greg Wilhere just told me, we're going to fix up Viet Le Quang. And I said, well, he should be beached. He goes, no, he knows something right now. I said, well, we'll beach him afterwards. And Greg Wilhere said, we certainly will. So I left it at that. You know, what do I do now on the mission? You know, this was not in the mission orders. He said to wait there in my cabin again, so I waited in the cabin. He called me back to the office and told me I was not to leave the ship. There was to be no communication back to Los Angeles at all. that I was only to make one call to the RTC reports officer, and that was via a mobile phone. Okay, the no communications were to be gone off the ship with my name on it. Okay, I called up the RTC reports op, and he said, find a solution to the security breach. So I came up with one, which involved another encryption tape being kept in a file safe room. That was, I called up the RTC reports op, and he said, find a solution to the security breach. So I came up with one, which involved another encryption tape being kept in a file safe room that was to be kept in the class, the OT8 course folder room on the ship, and that the
His name is Aaron Saxton. He worked for CMO.
one, which involved another encryption tape being kept in a file safe room that was to be kept in the class, the OT8 course folder room on the ship, and that the security would have to escort the computer operator daily to go grab the encryption tape.
So keep another tape in the file safe room in the OT8 folder room, and have the operator escorted daily to retrieve the tape.
A pretty weak solution, but my other follow-ups included a honeypot idea and a tracking system for Incom to deploy against future hacks.
Their ideas. Honeypot system.
And a tracking system for Incom to follow-ups included a honeypot idea and a tracking system for Incom to deploy against future hacks. That's quite a lengthy explanation on that, and I gave that in writing to Greg Will here, and he checked.
Honeypot idea and tracking system. What do you say to help prevent against?
Deploy against future hacks. That's quite a lengthy explanation on that, and I gave that in writing to Greg Will here, and he checked it. What then happened is, over the next day I spent on the ship. I don't recall a great deal of what happened. I just don't. I was given a tour of the ship by the Deputy Commanding Officer of CMO on the ship, and post that I was told and given a call on the mobile by somebody not.
What do you say, Deputy Commanding Officer?
Tour of the ship by the Deputy Commanding Officer of CMO on the ship, and post that I was told and given a call on the mobile by somebody not the RTC reports officer just to go leave the ship, which was still in port in Aruba, and that there'd be a car waiting for me and I was to leave. Okay, and that was to happen at around about 6 or 7 a.m. or something like that. What then happened is I went back to my cabin, and in the middle of the night the Deputy Commanding Officer of CMO ship came to my cabin, and she told me to put that the package of my uniform had arrived from the airport, and the first question was, why wasn't it carry-on luggage? And I told her because I had the briefcase and they wouldn't let me take 2 packages on board the airline, so it had to be stowed under, even though it only weighed 2 kilograms. She said it had been returned and she wanted me to wear it, and I said I couldn't do that. It was a confidential mission. No one's supposed to know that I'm even a messenger. And she said, well, I think it'd be a good idea if you did wear this uniform and walk around the ship. she appealed to my ego because she said, well, this could slap the crew and get them better producing. I mean, it appealed to my ego because at the time, Greg Wilhere himself was on the ship. If that guy's not going to get you producing, no one's going to get you producing. But she got to my ego. So I did. I walked around the ship and did this. And then I went out on the deck early in the morning and I had a Cuban cigar on the deck to celebrate the end of the mission. The following that morning, while I was on the deck of the ship, a photo was taken of me from from the top deck. I didn't know who took the photo. It was a Polaroid shot. I just heard this woman saying, "Got you." I assumed it was the DCO, the Deputy Commanding Officer on the ship, for CMO, but I didn't know. And I never saw her again. What then happened is I then went back to the cabin, showered, went out to the airport, and took a whole series of planes back to Los Angeles. But before I got back to Los Angeles, the same man that was on the plane flight from Miami to Aruba was on the flight that I took to Houston, and he confronted me. Plane flight from Miami to Aruba was on the flight that I took to Houston, and he confronted me. And I decided I had to deal with this. He was getting aggressive. I had tapes that were given to me by Greg Wilhere to take back to Los Angeles. I didn't know what was on the tapes. So I confronted him in a bar at the Houston airport. There was a stopover, and I don't remember what happened. I just do not know what happened. The next thing you know, I'm in Los Angeles, I'm at the airport, and there's no car waiting for me. I call up external communications at the Hollywood Guarantee building and go, "Hey, it's Aaron." "Where's my car?" And they're like, "Sorry sir, what car?" "I've landed. Where's my car to get back to the building?" Like, "Sorry sir, I didn't receive any request to pick you up." "Okay, well can you come and get me?" Okay, they come out, they come and get me, they drive me back. When I get back, I don't go to my berthing straight away, I go straight to the building to report the mission completion. And I get to the building, walk in the front door, I go up to level 6 where CMO was located at that particular time. Or no, level 7 or 6. 7. And my security card doesn't work anymore. Well, that's strange. So I wait for a messenger to walk out the door, and they're like, "Oh, Aaron, you're back. Where have you been?" They had no idea. And I walk in the door, and I walk straight into Luca's office, Deputy Commanding Officer for CMO. And he just... I walk in the door, and I walk straight into Luca's office, Deputy Commanding Officer for CMO. And he just looked so surprised to see me. He's like, "Aaron, you're back." Like, "Yeah, didn't you know? Hey, what's with my security card? It's cancelled or something." You know, and he diverts the conversation, and I look on the desk, and he's got all my files on the desk. And I missed a withhold on him. There's something in the files he doesn't want me to see. And he shoves the files to the left side. I can see that there's a piece of goldenrod there, but I don't know what it is.
That can't be good. Hang on. I'm trying to sneeze.
cancelled or something. You know, well, that's strange. So I wait for a messenger to walk out the door, and they're like, "Oh, Aaron, you're back. Where have you been?" They had no idea. And I walk in the door, and I walk straight into Luca's office, Deputy Commanding Officer for CMO. And he just looked so surprised to see me. He's like, "Aaron, you're back." Like, yeah, didn't you know? Hey, what's with my security card? It's cancelled or something. You know, and he diverts the conversation, and I look on the desk, and he's got all my files on the desk. And I missed a withhold on him. There's something in the files he doesn't want me to see. And he shoves the files to the left side. I can see that there's a piece of goldenrod there, but I don't know what it is. And then he pulls out this photo. It's the Polaroid that was taken from me on the ship, which meant that the person that was on that ship must have taken the Polaroid. It's not something you can send by email. It's a flash Polaroid photo, which means someone else had brought back that photo as fast as I could get to Los Angeles. And alarm bells started ringing off in my head.
Dude from Houston?
I didn't get it. I didn't understand what was going on. Anyways, I then went back up to the International Clearances Office, because that's where we were working on the clearances for all the new income staff. And I was told up there, "Aaron, you're being immediately cleared. Don't tell anybody you're being cleared. You're going to the INT base. You're going now."
Yep. This goes to National Clearance Office and is told he is being cleared to go to INT.
"We've got to get your clearances done in 24 hours. I said, "Why? Why am I going there?" He goes, "You have to go. You have to go now. So you're not the HCO chief anymore. You're not on post."
Wait, what was your post?
"You have to go now. So you're not the HCO chief anymore."
I heard Edge Sir Chief. I don't know what the fuck that means. I'm gonna copy this.
"You're not on post anymore. Okay? You're going to INT." Oh, ooh, okay. Going to INT, great. And that night, walking back to my berthing, my brain started to send alarm bells. Why was my security guard cancelled? Why was there no code? Who was that guy that followed me from the ship? Who was that guy on the Aruban Airlines flight? And alarm bells just went off and off and off. And I blew that morning. I took off. And the first phone call I made after a day being out, I wanted to speak to Lucas Sacamano, because I knew they'd be looking for me. And I called into the Hollywood Guarantee building on the main line number. And when I got to reception, the receptionist said, "Oh, sir, are you calling from Europe?" I went, "No." She goes, "Oh, you're not in Europe on mission?" "No."
No, that was... That was Eric Profilich. Who did he call?
"No." I called into the Hollywood Guarantee building.
Called HGB, got reception, and was asked if he was calling from a mission in EU.
On the main line number. And when I got to reception, the receptionist I said, "Oh, sir, are you calling from Europe?" I went, "No." She goes, "Oh, you're not in Europe on mission?" "No, I'm here in Los Angeles. Can I please speak with the Deputy CO CMO, please?" What the hell's going on? Okay, I hung up the phone. I then called up. We had a travel company that did all the flights for all our missions and stuff. So I called them up, and I had a security code, which hadn't been cancelled yet. And I booked a first class ticket back to New Zealand from LAX.
Oh, New Zealand, not Australia. My bad. Okay, so AS calls travel agency used for flights. Used for mission flights with still active security code and books flight to New Zealand.
And I booked it to leave in 2 hours, and I got it. Maybe 3 or 4 hours, actually, to be more accurate. And I didn't have any intention of going on the flight. I just went to the LA terminals. I waited across the road because I wanted to find out how many people that they would send out after me. And I was shocked. A van pulled up, and
So he goes to the LAX terminal but doesn't intend on going on the flight. Just to see who is sent. Van pulls up.
Jeff Porter, Sue Porter, and CMO staff and a lot of OSA staff jumped out of the van. I'm talking 9 people, and came running into the LA terminal after me. And Jesus Christ, they really wanted me not to go on that flight. But I knew I couldn't run away from them forever. I'd have to go back. So,
Okay, so we have 2 names, Jeff and Sue Porter. Let's take a look at them quick. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this node. Porter. I have Posner and Potter. Porter. Jeff Porter. And Sue Porter. Copy this. Came to LAX to intercept Aaron Saxton from supposed flight to New Zealand. Oh, God. Hang on. Who's still here? Just let me know. Say something in the chat or something. Ow. Ow. Fuck. This hair's a bitch sometimes.
I went running around Los Angeles, called up my mum in New Zealand, and she told me they'd called there looking for me. And I called back into the building, spoke to Luke, and he said, "If you don't come in right now, we're sending 20 people off to Australia, you're sending people off to New Zealand."
Okay, AS calls back to HGB and is told he needs to come back. People are being sent to New Zealand and Australia
To talk to your family, we're going to find you.
to talk to his
I
family.
told him to call it off, I'll come in. I came back in, and
Hey,
what
Sieglin.
happened
Good to see you.
between March 1995 and the end of my career with the Sea Org in January 1996 is just the most insulting story of paranoia and control you'd ever imagine.
Alright, hang on. I need to pull up Aaron's file. We have Porter. Let's go to S. Saxton. Okay. We're gonna copy this node. No, wait. Copy node and subnodes. We're going to... Nope. We're going to paste node and subnodes. I gotta wait for literally every fucking thing to load up. Okay. People. No. People. Go up here. Go back to S. Saxton. And if I click 1995 Valentine's Day Massacre,
Coming. I came back in, and what happened between March 1995 and the end of my career with the Sea Org in January 1996 is just the most insulting story of paranoia and control you'd ever imagine. And I'll go into it another time. But I wanted to keep this about the INCOM mission.
March 1995 to January 1996. Get more info.
And the facts of the matter there. We are talking about the greatest violations of human rights that all those INCOM staff members around the world suffered. And if you want to talk about false imprisonment and blackmail, go find
Sieglin, you're good.
the INCOM staff that were hassled and harassed in February 1995 and find out what happened to them.
If I knew who the INCOM staff were in 1995, that'd be fucking nice. Okay. So that's that. We are going to open up a new tab down here, get rid of all from my desktop because I'm going to listen to some TV shows while I work. Close this. We're going to open up the alt religion Scientology section. And we're just going to look up INCOM. Fuck it. Sort by relevance. I'm gonna keep going and just see what's there. How far does this go? And can I search with more? Wait a minute, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? On this day in Scientology history. Ooh, this is gonna be nice. Oh, he's writing policy letters. Wait a minute. Let's go to... Let's go to the policies quick. Shared. Oh wait, I still gotta fix this shit. No, leave it up. Fuck it. Whatever. I didn't think I was being that loud. Fuck. Information archive, church produced, books, PDFs. volumes, green, index. Where can I find income? Income. Nope. Okay. MS2, page 458. MS2, page. Does that technically count as page 458 though? No. So 458. Fuck it, 458. It's the admin know-how series. This is the computer series. Incom. I gotta hit the bathroom. I'll be right back. By the way, everybody, random piece of info. I got in touch with Karen de la Carriere, and she is willing to reach out to somebody for me who may or may not still have access to a video recording of the 1982 Mission Holders Conference. So, if I can get that, holy shit, that's something that's not online, has never been seen by the general public. Oh my god, I'm like freaking out a little. Jesus. I'm fucking stoked. But I'm gonna ask if I can share it first before I do, obviously, because it's a very secret piece of information. I know some people don't want that shit getting just generally shared to the public. I'm gonna get approval before I share anything. But if I get the approval, that means if the video quality is good enough, then I do not need to keep recreating this speech by using AI voices. And I can just post the video. So, keep an ear out for that in case I give any updates. But yes, I am very, very excited. Do I ever worry about OSA? No. All they did was, so far, all they did was... You spoke to Warren McShane? Wait, that name is very familiar. Who the fuck is Warren McShane? Holy fuck. Who said that? Who said that? Oh, you son of a bitch! You son of a bitch! I got excited. Warren McShane. Who the fuck was he? He was President RTC and later Deputy Inspector General for Legal Affairs. Dude, you got me fucking hyped up for nothing, you fucking bastard. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I get a message back. I'm gonna be so fucking excited if this actually works and goes through. Even if not, they may have some extra stuff that I can add to my archive. So, keep your fingers crossed. But I'm not too worried about it, Judy. Good prank though. Good way to get me amped up. And not thinking about this sinus shit. Whatever the fuck I have going on. Alright. Kendrick Moxon, Karen Powell, Eric Rue, Norman Starkey, Michelle Stith, Kurt Weiland, wait, Norman Starkey read those lines? For the overboarding drill at Gold, he said, "We commit your sins to the waves, may you arise a better Thetan." Read prior to each staff member being forced to jump into the swimming pool wearing their full uniforms. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that was who did that. Yeah, I'm having sinus BTs. Hang on. Let me just read this. Alright. I do need to reference this. So, organizations, income, dude, CO Bilf, if you ever actually were in touch with Warren McShane, I'd be so fucking jealous right now. Fuck it, let's see if he's on Facebook. That's how I talk to like 99% of my fucking people that I talk to. Is he even in still? Warren McShane. I mean, I found a Warren McShane, but it's not the same one. Yeah, it seems like he's probably still at Gold. Damn it. Ooh, extra info. I'm gonna save that post. Thank you, Karen. It's amazing how much info is really out there if you're willing to dig for it. Alright, so International Network of Computer Organized Management. Policies. Related. Actually, we'll just call it related policies. We are looking at HCOPL 23, November 1985. Computer Series 4. Incom. Purpose. Let's write this down while we're here. Purpose accord. No, I'm not gonna do it that way. That's stupid. Purpose. Quote. To establish and operate a major international management computer system which enforces the standard application of Scientology policy and technology, and as a result brings about rapid planetary expansion. Okay, we got the purpose, product, developed, distributed, maintained, and properly used computerized management systems which enormously increase the production and income of an area. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he is. Bye, Judy. Hope those tacos are good. Okay, let's just go to... Let's just pick a random one, and of course it's gonna have Chuck Beatty in it. Because why wouldn't it? Because that dude is a fucking dump of information. Everywhere, all the fucking time. Every time I see a post of his, it always gives me something new. But we're gonna go to... I'm gonna sort by date. We're gonna see if we can go to entry number 1000. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Fix that, move that this way. Alright. He really is. C.O. Bilf. Dude has so much fucking info. Oh, right, I never answered the question about, if I'm scared of OSA. Not really. I mean, I know what they're capable of. If they truly wanted to come after me, they could. Anywho. Alright, entry 1091. Actually, no, we'll see how far back these entries go. We're getting back to 1996. Here we go. 1991. To all Scientologists, this news grab has been about a week now, and most of the postings are pure garbage. Next one. Incom sold software? Is anyone here aware of any connection, official or otherwise, between Executive Software, which markets a variety of VMS and disk management utilities, and COS? We just received a demo copy of Executive Software's new User Basics Tutor. I am just looking up anything related to Incom. Hello, Fat Grammy. You missed me going over Aaron Saxton's Incom security breach details, just taking notes on them, so it wasn't really anything that special. It was just me writing down whatever happened in the video. Should have been around the 90s ARS days. It seemed wild and crazy. Yeah. I mean, at least you can always look back on it and all the sporgery. Both the tutorial and the system manager's manual contain quotes from LRH. Apparently, the tutorial is based on teaching methods developed by user LRH. I seem to remember a dust-up about a year ago in which the owner or president of ES stated the company would not sell software to any company or institution responsible for the manufacturing or distribution of psychotropic drugs. I have a new organization to add to this. Executive Software. Copy that. Software called User Basics Tutor with LRH quotes in the System Manager's Manual. Owner / president stated they wouldn't sell software to any company responsible for the manufacturing or distribution of psychotropic drugs. Manual tutorial based on LRH study tech. Well, no, I want to look up Executive Software. Executive Software. Church of Scientology. There was a lawsuit. Ooh. Who is this? Conducive Technologies. Duke of Chug, hidden data lines via Incom telepathy. Someone on ARS in the late 90s, probably. Who is this motherfucker? Company history. Craig Jensen, a member of WISE. Okay. Okay. We now have a link between Executive Technologies, aka Conducive Technologies, and a man by the name of Craig Jensen. So we're going to go to J for Jensen. We're going to add in Craig Jensen. Founder of Conducive Technologies, aka Executive Technologies. Conducive's the new company. Oh, Conducive still exists. Partners. Resources. Blog. They're still keeping up to date. So this is a wise company. Contact sales, career opportunities. Testimonials. Nah. Videos and webinars, case studies. You know what? What was this? What was that software called? Organizations. Executive software. Wise company. We're gonna look up user. No. We're gonna look up user basics tutor software. Software manual. Why do I have emails? What the fuck is this? User Basics. We have a test copy of a program called User Basics Tutor. The program is supposed to be a learning tool where one can gain a very basic understanding of the operation and use of a VAX computer. Shit. User Basics. User Basics Tutor PDF. Nah. Let's just look up User Basics Tutor. Online VAX training. That's the same thing that I was just looking at. Come on. Seriously? User Basics Tutor. I wonder if I reach out to the company. Okay. Contact. Company self-employed. Second. I don't care that you guys know this. Submit. We'll see what they say. About. Uh-uh. Did I read what? That they took over Disckeeper? I didn't even know what Disckeeper was. Our leadership. Rick Kadruvi, Gary Kwan, Jan Nikitin, Don Rich Creek. So they don't have Craig Jensen on the website anymore. I don't know if he's since passed. I'm going to go back to Incom. History. Actually, fuck it. Let's look up the Wikipedia page. So I go for hours into this rabbit hole. Craig Jensen passed his managerial and day-to-day involvement with the company onto a man named Jerry Baldwin. He stated his employees are schooled in Hubbard's management tech with courses that include effective leadership, executives in ethics, executive basics, and management by statistics. You may not be able to give me a link because you're not a moderator. I am on the Wikipedia page now. Oh, am I not sharing this anymore? Hold up. Oh, I've got two fucking different windows open. God damn it. Whatever, hang on. Fuck it. Move that up. Exit. Exit. Give me a sec. Just organizing here. Exit that. Company refused to renew technical support. Nope. Legal issues. On November 5th, 2008, Disckeeper's former CIO, Alexander Godelman, and Automation Planning Officer, Mark Lachey, jointly filed suit in LA Superior Court for improper dismissal. In the complaint, they alleged the company required training in Hubbard management courses, which are based on the management technology of L. Ron Hubbard, as a condition of employment, and that failure to comply was cause for their dismissal. The plaintiffs cited this as a violation of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act and requested an injunction against the delivery of the courses at Disckeeper. On January 27, 2009, Disckeeper filed a motion to strike the proposed injunction, citing, without conceding that Hubbard management technology is religious in nature, legal precedents of religious-based practices in business being protected by the First Amendment. On February 18, 2009, the motion to strike was granted and the proposed injunction removed from the case, and on June 24, 2009, the case was dismissed in its entirety. Disckeeper later won an arbitration award against the attorney of Godelman and Lachey, Barry B. Kaufman. Kaufman refused to return material back to Disckeeper and used it in another deposition, breaching the terms of the settlement agreement with Godelman and Lachey. The arbitrator further found that Kaufman breached his duty of confidentiality under paragraph 9A of the settlement agreement by using Disckeeper's training documents during the deposition and showing them to his co-counsel. In addition, the arbitrator determined that Kaufman made a negligent misrepresentation when he told Disckeeper that Godelman and Lachey had returned all the documents required under the settlement agreement. The arbitrator concluded that Disckeeper was entitled to an order directing the return of Disckeeper's documents, an award of $70,000 in liquidated damages from Kaufman, and an award of attorney's fees. On April 4, 2012, the arbitrator issued his final award, which incorporated the interim award and contained findings regarding Disckeeper's attorney fees and costs. The arbitrator determined that Disckeeper was entitled to $297,000 in attorney fees and $88,034.69 in costs and expenses. The arbitrator further stated that, quote, because Disckeeper prevailed against Godelman because of the acts, omissions, and advice of his agent and attorney Kaufman, it would be inequitable to award the fees, costs, and expenses against Godelman as well. Accordingly, the award is assessed only against Kaufman. Um, yeah, I'll do that later. We can go down this rabbit hole forever. How big is the scroll? Oh, lordy Christ. Actually, you know what? I want to look at David Turetsky's study tech thing. Come on, study tech. Ooh, the Knots Scholars homepage. Prerequisites for beginning Knots Scholars. Oh shit. Jeez. Fuck, there's a lot here. Alright, we're gonna go back. Study technology. Then you know what we're gonna do? No. Wait a minute. Click this. Where is it? No, David Turetsky. Maybe? We're gonna do the Wayback Machine. Okay. David Turetsky. Scientology. Study tech. Scientology's fraudulent study technology. New updated version. I'm gonna say fuck it at this point. I'm gonna accept the risk. Oh, it's a fucking... What is it, a blog spot? Featured articles. Start with the very top. What is study technology? And if I keep scrolling down, does it cover the whole thing? So what's the next page? Oh god, essay part 2. Fuck, this is a big ass essay. I might read this by myself. I don't know. Yeah, it's a demon hole. My bad. I feel like garbage. Sorry, you gotta hear that. What is study technology? In July of 1997, the Los Angeles Unified School District... Actually, we're going to copy this, because I want that. And we're going to go to Doctrine, Courses, Study tech. I'm going to save that. In July of 1997, the Los Angeles Unified School District considered an application by public school teacher Linda Smith to establish a new charter school. When questioned, Smith admitted that she and her two partners were Scientologists and that their plans for the school included some unusual educational materials called study technology. This attracted the attention of the press, and the story was broken by Duke Helfand in the Los Angeles Times in the article on July 27, 1997. Okay. Los Angeles Times, July 27th, 1997. Study tech. Actually, we'll just say this. Hubbard teachings in public classrooms. Copy that. We go to read articles without paywall. Actually, no, we just gotta go to the Wayback Machine. This is actually fun. Let me edit the title here. Note-taking stream plus study tech debunking. Oh, looks like Wayback Machine's having an issue. Okay, so it's not just me. It's the Wayback Machine in and of itself. Read article without paywall. Click. Click. Maybe? Haha. Hubbard teachings in public classrooms. Special report. As controversy flares over Scientology adherents' proposal to found a charter school in LA, other district teachers step forward to tell their stories of educational success using Hubbard teachings in public classrooms. As the Los Angeles Board of Education grapples with whether to approve a new charter school that would feature the teaching methods of L. Ron Hubbard, the late founder of the church, a handful of district teachers say they have been using those techniques for years and keep copies of Hubbard's works in their classrooms. The controversy over the use of Hubbard's methods, known as applied scholastics, has prompted district officials to undertake a review of policies on religion in public schools and to seek an opinion from the State Department of Education on the legality of using these materials. The school board, meanwhile, plans to meet in closed session Monday to get advice from district lawyers on its obligation to keep religion out of classrooms. The Los Angeles District special education teacher who wants to lead the new school in the East San Fernando Valley, Linda Smith, maintains that the Hubbard materials are non-sectarian learning techniques appropriate for students of any faith. But board members, citing Smith's acknowledged membership in the Church of Scientology, said they're concerned about religious links. I think we need to get more information on what this educational philosophy is so that we feel comfortable that it doesn't have religious overtones, said board president Julie Korenstein, who's asked district staff to review applied scholastics. As a charter school, Smith's campus would be allowed to operate outside many state and district rules that contain curriculum and budgets. Her proposed use of Hubbard texts has drawn attention because of Scientology's legal status as a religion and the fact that it's been variously criticized as a cult and as a profit-driven enterprise since Hubbard started it in the early 1950s. Under district policy, any religion, including traditions and observances, may be taught as an academic subject, but instructors are prohibited from advocating a particular set of religious beliefs. The guidelines issued in December of 1995 acknowledge that religion is a significant historical force that enables students to understand the complex dynamics at work in human society. An American Civil Liberties Union First Amendment specialist, schools can comply with the rules by using state-approved textbooks which are carefully scrutinized by educators before being released to public school districts across California. If you can bring in your own materials, then the whole effort of trying to come up with textbooks that are appropriate for use within the public school system is subverted. But teachers who use applied scholastics, the cornerstone of Hubbard's study technology, call the works effective classroom tools based exclusively on Hubbard's educational ideas, not his religious principles. Smith, who's planning her Northwest Charter School for about 100 students, said in interviews last week that she's been using the Hubbard materials in her current job at Esperanza Elementary School in downtown LA with great success. Later in the week, 2 more LA district teachers who describe themselves as Scientologists, Don Woods of Jefferson High School in South Los Angeles and Vicki Gordon of Luther Burbank Middle School in Highland Park, said they too have been using applied scholastics in their classes. Woods and Gordon met with the Times on Friday at Applied Scholastics' central office in Hollywood, down the street from the church's headquarters. All 3 teachers said study technology kindles young minds by addressing 3 fundamental barriers to learning. The first one is lack of mass. When there is no object to illustrate a concept, students overcome the problem by relating ideas to real life. The second barrier is the skipped gradient, those steps in a learning process that students don't understand. Students conquer difficult material by studying it incrementally. I mean, that's how school works anyway. The third and most important barrier is the misunderstood word. As the Hubbard reasoning goes, students cannot learn what they do not understand, so they use dictionaries to look up unfamiliar words in a process called word clearing. Fatigue, worry, and frustration are among the manifestations symptomatic of students who have come up against those barriers and struggled to learn their lessons according to the philosophy. Gordon said she's found the Hubbard ideas so illuminating that she now uses them as the primary tool in her classroom. She said she keeps 6 copies of Learning How to Learn in her classroom, some bought by her, others donated. How long is this article? Oh, fucking Christ. Gordon also said she ran a seminar 2 years ago to introduce colleagues at Luther Burbank to Hubbard's 3 barriers to learning. This technology empowers students, said Gordon. It creates literacy. Gordon said she's been a Scientologist for 10 years, but insists that her religion has no bearing on her professional life. What a fucking lie. I don't feel like I have anything to hide, said Gordon, who teaches 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. I feel like I've come across something that helps people. Gordon's principal could not be reached for comment, but Gordon's students offered glowing praise for the Hubbard methods in thank you letters they wrote to their teacher at the end of the school year. Letters Gordon produced for the Times. One, dated May 28, 1997, mirrors the very language contained in the applied scholastic texts and even refers to one of the books by name. What I learned from the Learning How to Learn book is that I now know what to do, what I have, lack of mass, or even have a skipped gradient, the student wrote. I know how to handle it. It has made me feel very good about myself because if I had not done this book, I would not have gotten this far in my learning. How much do you want to bet she told her fucking kids to do this? Success stories. I swear to God. I swear to God. If she did anything relating to success stories, I'm gonna fucking, this bitch. Gordon and other teachers say the value of Hubbard's methods has gotten lost amid the uproar over Hubbard himself. One of the most ardent Hubbard proponents is Smith, a Santa Clarita resident who wants to open her own kindergarten through 8th grade school in the Sunland Tujunga area. Or that's pronounced differently. I don't know. I probably butchered the shit out of it. Northwest, if approved, would join 15 other charter schools in the LA unified system. Northwest's curriculum would include standard texts as well as the Hubbard books if they're approved by a curriculum committee of parents, teachers, and administrators. Smith's proposals, which made no mention of the Hubbard materials when it was unveiled before the school board last week, is scheduled for its next hearing on August 20th. Esperanza principal Rowena LaGrossa, who praised Smith's teaching in a recent recommendation letter, said she was unaware that Smith was using Hubbard techniques. She called Smith's methods pedagogically sound, adding that Smith has been using, quote, effective strategies that any other teacher would employ. But LaGrossa said she turned down a request about 2 years ago by Smith to buy Hubbard books for her class because they were written by L. Ron Hubbard. To my knowledge, he represents a religion. Good for you. LaGrossa reprimanded Smith during the same period for writing a letter on school district stationery seeking advice on the legality of purchasing Hubbard materials for her students. Woods, an English teacher at Jefferson High, shares the same enthusiasm as Smith. He introduced a peer tutoring program at Jefferson in 1995 that emphasized the word clearing strategy. The tutoring effort was abandoned after 1 semester, partly because Woods was needed to teach another class, but the effort is described in a 2-page summary on the Applied Scholastics internet website. Woods has continued to use the word clearing method in his English classes. Before his students read Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet or Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea, they scan the texts, pick out words they don't understand, jot them down, and define them. Then they read the works with their own mini dictionaries on hand. Word clearing is the champ, said Woods. I want to help students get unstuck, to have them realize they can learn. Woods said he keeps a copy of Hubbard's Study Skills for Life on his classroom desk, and that students are welcome to review it. Wood's boss, Principal Virginia Preciado, said she was unaware of the Hubbard materials in his classroom and she would like to review them, but she expressed confidence in Woods, who had been in Jefferson for 5 years. I don't feel he's teaching anything religious or something that would be inappropriate. As a classroom teacher, he is very concerned about the students getting the basic skills they need to move forward. Woods would like the Hubbard study technology expanded beyond his classroom. I personally would like to see word clearing used prominently in the district at all levels. It's a procedure that can be used for anyone for lifelong learning. Fuck no. And we're about to find out why. After I snot like a bitch. I could probably use some fucking Dayquil at this point. Took it at about 5. It's about 9. Cook it. Hate the fact that they still sell shit with phenylephrine in it, but whatever. At this point, I don't really care. I just want this to go away. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go be PTS somewhere else quick. Alright, do you hear me talk about stuff?
Yeah. What? I said, yeah.
You're good. I found one.
Boy, you sleepy?
You want, you little bugger. You fucking. I take you out at like 10:30 at night, and then you start bugging me at 11:30 to keep going out. I don't know why he does that at night.
Let's go out. Hold on. Be a friend.
You're not a fucking husky. Stop
Yeah.
acting like one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
another restoration company, medium restoration. And Carmen was telling me, she's like, I have never felt more like myself since before we met.
And you guys,
And
that's a big,
no week. I've been on it. I've been off almost 12 days now.
yeah, that's awesome. Big deal.
Huge
Now
change.
you see how much it affects you.
Oh yeah. Huge, huge difference. I know. Alright, I'm getting back to the thing. Look, I mean, it's basic to look up words you don't understand and go at a basic gradient. But that's what schools don't focus too much on dictionaries. Public education, I don't feel, does focus much on the meanings of words, which I understand is extremely important. They kind of just skip right over it. But I don't know. I feel like Hubbard has taken things that people already do, like mainly the gradient thing, because grades, duh, and just made it a new discovery, which makes no fucking sense because it's what people already do. All right. So we had also that month, the California State Department of Education gave preliminary approval for five volumes in the Study Technology series to be used as supplemental textbooks, meaning they could be purchased with taxpayer funds and used by schools throughout the state. The LA Times article sparked an immediate controversy, as a result of which Linda Smith's application was turned down and permission to use the Study Technology books as supplemental textbooks was withdrawn. Okay, LA Times, July 29th. And there he goes, fucking barking. Add that to my sources. Copy that. Paste that in. The LA Times article sparked an immediate controversy, as a result of which Linda Smith's application was turned down and permission to use the study tech books as supplemental textbooks was withdrawn. A previous attempt to insinuate study tech into California's public schools had been rebuffed 17 years ago for similar reasons. Public funds may not be used for religious instruction. The Californian controversy centered around the key issues of what study tech is and what it does. It's based on the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, blah, 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 founder of the Church, a reincarnation/psychotherapy group that many see as a cult. Its curious name reflects one of Hubbard's most frequent quirks or marketing gimmicks. He would customarily label his religious doctrines as technologies. Study technology, often abbreviated as study tech, forms part of a much larger body of Scientology scripture that members simply call the tech. The study tech book falls into two groups. The first three, the basic study manual, study skills for life, and learning how to learn, cover study technology proper, but are targeted at different grade levels. These three books are the primary focus of this essay. The remaining two titles, How to Use a Dictionary and Grammar and Communication for Children, are unremarkable introductions to grammar and punctuation that only show a few tiny traces of Hubbard's influence. The study technology is also used in other Scientology-related social reform programs, notably the Narconon and Criminon drug and criminal rehabilitation programs. There it's delivered in the form of a learning improvement course, utilizing a very similar set of course materials. All 5 books, plus their Narconon and Criminon variants, are published by Bridge Publications. They're distributed by Applied Scholastics International. ASI is a subordinate... ASI is not Applied Scholastics International. ASI is Author Services Incorporated. Applied Scholastics is a subordinate organization of ABLE. This is in turn a subordinate of the Church. Scientology has also began distributing the books through another front organization, Effective Education Publishing. Give me a sec. Organizations. We've got Criminon. We've got Bridge Publications. We have Applied Scholastics International. And we have ABLE, the Association for Better Living and Education. Do I have Narconon? I feel like I should. I do. But we also had Effective Education Publishing. This complicated set of relationships examined elsewhere on StudyTech.org is seemingly designed to obscure the central role of the church in the promotion and implementation of StudyTech. This raises the question of whether the proponents of StudyTech are attempting to use public funds for covert religious instruction. The study technology supporters insisted the books are non-religious in nature. When the issue was raised in California, the Department of Education said that a committee that examined the StudyTech books could find no references to Scientology. It's true that the word Scientology does not occur in any of these volumes, but jargon and religious beliefs appear throughout the 3 study skills books, as they are inseparable from StudyTech. The 3 principles. StudyTech is founded on 3 principles. 1. Use pictures and diagrams to illustrate the concepts being taught. 2. Break down complex concepts so they can be mastered in a series of simple steps. And 3. Always seek definitions for unfamiliar terms. These rules make sense and are harmless enough when phrased in plain English, but the StudyTech books present them in a different manner. The 3 principles are called mass, gradients, and misunderstoods, terms that were invented or redefined by Hubbard and loaded with significance in the Scientology religion. These concepts are presented in a doctrinaire manner that is also characteristic of Scientology religious instruction. StudyTech actually helps lay the groundwork for introducing Scientology doctrines into secular education. These 3 principles are laid out in HCOB 25 June 1971, revised 25 November 1974, called Barriers to Study. The HCO was a division of the church which for many years served as the personal secretariat of L. Ron Hubbard. Its main output was a constant stream of policy letters and bulletins. StudyTech is laid out in a series of HCO bulletins, mostly issued during the 70s, which are today collected in a set of volumes entitled The Technical Bulletins of Dianetics and Scientology, known informally as the Tech volumes or the Red volumes, since they're printed in red ink. According to the church, these works comprise a major element of Scientology's religious scripture. The source of the StudyTech doctrines is discussed in greater detail later in this essay under Where Does StudyTech Come From? So let me add HCO. The HCO bulletins on StudyTech are also reprinted in various Scientology course packs, such as the Student Hat, that are sold as entry-level religious services. A disclaimer at the front of each volume in each course pack, including those containing the StudyTech bulletins, states, "This book is part of the religious literature and works of the Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. The Student Hat course is compulsory for all Scientologists. Before they can cross the Scientology bridge to total freedom, they're required to, quote, learn how to learn. The same rule applies to all, no matter how literate they may be, a sign that something more is going on than mere learning. A summary of the barriers to study is also included in the Scientology handbook." The meaning of mass. The first principle of StudyTech states that when introducing a new concept, it's important to have an example physically present to get its mass. If it's not possible to present a physical example, then a picture or diagram should be provided. This is not bad advice. Educational psychologists have long known that a large component of human learning is visually based. But a picture is worth even more than 1,000 words in StudyTech, because according to Hubbard, only pictures can provide the mass required to understand a concept. Nothing else will do. Alright. Pictures are okay, but if you have a lack of mass, you go to the fucking clay table. If one is studying about tractors, the printed page and the spoken word are no substitute for having an actual tractor there. Photographs or motion pictures are helpful because they represent a promise or hope of the mass of a tractor. But reading books or listening to someone talk does not give you mass. And what is mass? The definition offered in study tech is: the mass of a subject refers to the parts of that subject which are composed of matter and energy and which exist in the material universe. In other words, mass is what can be visualized. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to fix some shit. What the fuck did I just do? Ah, you bitch. Oh, there we go. I have a fucking PC shutdown button on my keyboard. I don't know why. That is fucking stupid. And it doesn't even shut down the PC, it just shuts down the monitor. Fuck it. In other words, mass is what can be visualized, but Hubbard's pronouncement that learning cannot take place without visual aids goes too far. Must every sentence of every book be accompanied by a picture? Does a book on political theory, quantum physics, or the life of Shakespeare require a photo to illustrate each concept? Of course not. Hubbard's study tech book claims that several non-optimum physical reactions are associated with the absence of mass. Such an absence of mass can actually make a student feel squashed. It can make him feel bent, sort of spinny, sort of dead, bored, and exasperated. When students experience these symptoms, they are immediately interpreted by Scientologist teachers, aka course supervisors, as being the result of learning difficulties, a most dubious proposition. Hubbard was fond of making this sort of bold assertion, wholly unsupported or even opposed by hard evidence. We will return to this issue of study tech's dubious physiological claims later. Gradient. A gradual approach to something, taken step by step, level by level, each step or level being of itself equally surmountable, so that finally quite complicated and difficult activities or high states of being can be achieved with relative ease. This principle is applied to both Scientology processing and training. There is nothing objectionable in the notion that complex ideas should be mastered by breaking them down into simpler steps done in a logical order. But study tech turns this sensible advice into rigid dogma, with a warning that violations can have unpleasant consequences. If you have skipped a gradient, you may feel a sort of confusion or reeling. The illustrations of this idea on page 84 to 85 show a boy who is trying to build a doghouse seeing stars, as if he just got whacked in the head with one of the boards he was hammering. Within Scientology, the gradient doctrine is an important tool for controlling the flow of information. It discourages beginning students from looking too closely into Scientology's claims. Students are told to accept things on trust and to wait until they're deemed ready for the facts. This is the bait used to attract many a new member. Scientology evidently takes the view, probably correctly, that its more esoteric beliefs, centering on hostile space aliens, would frighten off new members if mentioned early on. Adherents are instead inducted slowly into the secrets of Scientology, learning stage by stage through the use of study tech, following the gradient laid out for them by the church. As was demonstrated by Monsieur Mangetot, I probably butchered the fuck out of it, the Frenchman who ate a bicycle. I know about Michael Lotito. Whatever. Even a large indigestible mass can be consumed if it is eaten in bite-sized chunks. Being out gradient is actually considered an ethical violation in Scientology because it's out tech, or contrary to Hubbard's teachings about how one should study. But if a beginning student does encounter some of Hubbard's more outlandish writings, the gradient concept offers a way for them to avoid acknowledging the absurdity. Consider two remarkable claims in Hubbard's 1953 book, A History of Man: that human beings evolved from clams who were preyed upon by birds, and that the spirits of most humans go to Mars for reprogramming when their bodies die. Rather than trying to defend such improbable ideas when low-level Scientologists or members of the public ask about them, the response of Scientology officials is that History of Man is an advanced text, too steep a gradient for non-believers or beginning Scientologists to deal with, which conveniently rules out any possibility of debating the book on its merits. The questioner is then directed toward entry-level courses so that he or she can learn to be properly conditioned before being exposed to this advanced material. By the way, who is still here? Feel free to drop something in the chat. An even more troubling application of the gradient principle is Scientology's belief that truth itself must be approached on a gradient. In Hubbard's eyes, there is no such thing as objective truth. Truth is whatever is true for... All right. What's true is what is true for you and what you have observed to be true. Hello, Amy M. This provides the rationale for the Church of Scientology misleading the public about its most controversial teachings, because according to Hubbard, when dealing with raw public, one must be careful to give them an acceptable truth. I know, seriously, that'd be fun. Going to Scientology, they immediately jump into the aliens? Damn. For example, Scientology professes its compatibility with and respect for other belief systems. The general public and novice Scientologists are told that Scientology is compatible with all other religions, and that the Church often professes mutual respect when campaigning alongside faith groups. Hello, D-Essentials. Good to see you. Hope your crochet projects are going well. The picture from the far side of the bridge is very difficult. Scientologists who have completed the Church's highest level and most secret courses will have learned from Hubbard that God was essentially an evil, big Satan presiding over a deserted and run-down heaven, that Christianity was implanted by a race of alien invaders 2,000 years ago. I thought Christianity was implanted during OT3. I don't know, I gotta reread that shit. That the Kaaba in Mecca was the unconscious imitation by the Prophet Muhammad of an alien implant mechanism called the Emanator, and that Hinduism's doctrines are very treacherous. Ooh, I gotta listen to these lectures. I already listened to number 10, though. That's the Xenu lecture, right? As these views would antagonize something like half the world's population, it is scarcely surprising they are not publicized by Scientology. That does not mean that Scientology is ashamed of such views. Far from it. The problem, as Scientologists would see it, is not that Hubbard's views would be offensive to many, but merely that people need to have adequate preparation before being confronted with them. Revealing this truth too early would result in too steep a gradient for the potential recruit. Hang on. I was not able to find any audio of Wendell Reynolds. But the Essentials, I was telling everybody earlier that it is possible that in the future I might be receiving a video recording of the 1982 Mission Holders Conference. So we shall see. I spoke to Karen de la Carriere, and she may have a connection. So, it's fucking awesome. Hence, deception and economy with the truth is the ethical course. Indeed, it is deemed to be positively unethical to present the naked truth to an insufficiently prepared individual. Hubbard's Code of Scientology Ethics provides for disciplinary sanctions for those found guilty of issuing data or information to wrong grades or unauthorized persons or groups. D, go back and find your misunderstood. I should probably stop talking. I'm fucking hurting myself. Fuck. The third principle of study text centers on the concept of misunderstood words. They're called misunderstoods in the books and abbreviated as MU or MISU in Scientology. Misunderstoods can be cleared by looking up the word in a dictionary. This is fine as far as it goes. Students should certainly learn to use a dictionary. Hang on. Hey, Antics, welcome back. But according to Hubbard, misunderstood words are not a minor problem. They are, in fact, the most important barrier to study, and the only reason a person would stop studying or get confused or not be able to learn. In fact, The only reason a person gives up a study or becomes confused or unable to learn is because he has gone past a word that was not understood. This sentence also appears in the front matter of all Scientology religious volumes. This emphasis on the misunderstood word in isolation turns common sense into irrational dogma. Students are told explicitly that when they have a problem with understanding, it's not a misunderstood phrase or idea or concept, but a misunderstood word. According to study tech materials, a single misunderstood word can cause a person to not remember anything on the page they just read, or make them want to stop studying the subject altogether. The books also teach that misunderstoods cause physical symptoms, feeling blank, tired, worried, upset, quote, like you're not there, or suffering a sort of nervous hysteria. The reason for these symptoms is not explained, because it never fucking is, but the answer lies in other Scientology doctrines not included in the secularized version of study tech. Hubbard's obsession with I'm going to call them MUs. Hubbard's obsession... Oh, you're making a stocking. That's really cool. I hope it looks... send me a picture of it when it's done. I would love to see it. Hubbard's obsession with misunderstood words leads to a number of uniquely Scientological practices, such as a fondness for dictionaries. Several large dictionaries are found in all Scientology course rooms. I'm going to say course rooms because you don't say churches, it's orgs. But then again, David Turetsky was a never-end, so neither am I. Well, and so am I, but still, I'm going to try to use the correct terminology. Hubbard's religious writings forbid the use of pocket dictionaries, which he dubbed dinky dictionaries, because of the inferior quality of their definitions. Scientology also publishes several dictionaries of its own, including the Basic Dictionary of Dianetics and Scientology, the much more comprehensive Dianetics and Scientology Technical Dictionary, also called the Tech Dictionary, and Modern Management Technology Defined, Hubbard Dictionary of Administration and Management, the Admin Dictionary. As many as 3,000 terms, many of them being neologisms coined by Hubbard himself, are said to be defined in these books. Another strange practice associated with MUs is the treatment of yawning. Since MUs are supposed to make one feel tired, anyone caught yawning in a course room run under Hubbard's rules is thought to have overlooked and misunderstood, and thus be in direct danger of failing their studies. Hold on. Oh, dire danger, not direct. They are ordered to go back over what they were reading until they find the MU and review its definition. The treatment for yawning is also mentioned in the Basic Study Manual and Learning How to Learn, both of which include pictures of a yawning boy. Beverly Rice, a former Scientologist who once taught at a school run by Applied Scholastics, reported that her students learned to, quote, never yawn if you were tired. A yawn would bring the supervisor running and meant having to go backwards on your course in the Great MU Hunt. Message posted to ARS on August 17th, 1997. But now that we have a quote, if you'll excuse me. Go to my favorite place. Copy paste. Haha. Nope. Shit. Go here. God damn it. I'm just gonna search the phrase MU Hunt. Here we go. This is a fact that was soon learned by students attending the COS school that I was at. They learned if they didn't quite grasp a concept to keep going, because to ask a question meant they'd have to get off course and spend large amount of times finding all their MUs and or having to do clay demos to the supervisor's pass. A yawn would bring the supervisor running, meant having to go backwards on your course in the Great MU Hunt. One thing that a lot of students did learn was how to yawn with their mouths shut. What do we got? So you're working on a Jane Austen doll, a baby little baby Cthulhu. Little kitties, and a few Marvel Super. That's fucking cool. That's really awesome. Keep it up. I was yawning about Scientology in general until I found out I had them misunderstood. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off, dude. 100% a plant. Yep, but that makes one feel so guilty. I was yawning about Scientology in general until I found out that I had them misunderstood. They wanted to help free mankind. When I got piece by piece the reality, it fell all in line, and I knew I had been in the most totalitarian group of people at war. There will always be the SP, and it could be everyone. I keep up a bet, $100 for the one that shows me a person that I cannot fully on policy declare a suppressive person. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, you definitely work for the fucking... You're absolutely a Scientologist. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you, Steph. Yawning may occur for reasons unrelated to the task at hand. Even now, scientists do not know for certain why humans and animals yawn, demonstrating the arbitrary and unscientific nature of Hubbard's insistence that MUs are the root cause. And there are many other factors besides MUs that can cause lack of comprehension. The material itself could have problems. Bad grammar, faulty logic, disorganized exposition, Hubbard. Faulty logic, Hubbard. And obviously false factual statements are examples, Hubbard. Why place all the emphasis on just one possible source of confusion? Study tech thus provides a convenient blame mechanism. If a concept is not understood, it is always the fault of the student, never the fault of the teacher or source material. Study tech's focus on MUs is not just some arbitrary bit of educational dogma. Oh, sorry, I'll put my email right here in the chat. You should be able to go to the description for the video. If you go to like the description right down below this video, it should say there's a section under links that says hit me up if you want to talk, and it says ScientoloGeek@gmail.com. Study tech's focus on MUs is not just some arbitrary bit of educational dogma. It is an intentional and effective device for suppressing critical thought. In effect, it atomizes language, divorcing words from concepts. The same words might appear in a Shakespearean sonnet or an L. Ron Hubbard bulletin, but their collective meaning might be very different. The words themselves may be perfectly comprehensible, but their meaning may not be. The context is stripped away, leaving the words to be studied in isolation. But a student cannot ascertain context from isolated words any more than she could ascertain the design of a house from individual bricks. The most outlandish concepts can thereby be presented in a way that compels word-by-word acceptance. I don't know if I can fucking talk anymore. Shit. Study tech is also an effective method of social control in the classroom. If one expresses disagreement with the material one is studying, that's taken as evidence of an MU, and each MU must be located and cleared before moving on to other material. Hence, unless a student wants to be stuck reading the same page over and over, looking up definitions in a dictionary ad nauseum, he must keep any negative feelings about the content to himself. If he expresses dislike for a subject and a desire to stop studying it, that is taken as a further evidence that he has an MU. The idea that one can have a legitimate disagreement with something written by source is simply not on the table. All disagreement is dismissed as misunderstanding, a dangerous attitude for an educational system to promote. Joe Harrington, who was active in Scientology, wrote the following in a posting to the ARS news group. The fundamental tenet of Hubbard's study tech is that any disagreement with the subject matter being studied, any inability to apply the materials, and any non-comprehension of the materials stems only from MUs in the source material. With this mechanism, Hubbard made his source material infallible. In the Scientology study tech mindset, there can be no dissent with Hubbard's utterances, and any difficulty the student is having with the subject or the organization stems only from MUs he went past. Using Hubbard's notion of the MU, one could introduce a source textbook on geology, written by the president of the Flat Earth Society, and have every student who disagreed with the materials look up all the MUs they went past until harmony with the source material was in place. God, there's so much to this left. Harrington's characterization seems accurate. When one of us asked Heidrun Beer, at the time a devoted Scientologist, what she would do if she found a Hubbard policy she couldn't agree with, her reply was, "I'd go back and find my MU." Beer has since broken with the church. Worse still, it's implied that misunderstanding, and by extension disagreement, is the root cause of antisocial behavior and illness. The basic study manual claims that a student trapped in an MU will go out and commit harmful acts against the more general area. This is accompanied by a picture of a student vandalizing a restroom. This is followed by various mental and physical conditions and by various complaints, fault-finding, and look what you did to me. Disagreement and incomprehension is thus equated with antisocial behavior. This equation is not unique to Scientology or indeed to religion. It's a common aspect of many authoritarian societies where failure to conform to the approved ideology is commonly attributed to the dissident being antisocial. Scientology is an unusually authoritarian belief system. Hubbard prohibited absolutely any deviation from his ideological standards and severely punished any attempts to alter or build on his work. Much of the extensive list of disciplinary offenses listed in his rigorous system of ethics relates to ideological deviation or dissension, banning both completely. This means that, unlike mainstream belief systems, Scientology has an absolute prohibition on exegesis of its core texts. It calls such expression verbal tech. There are no Scientology theologians save the now deceased Hubbard, nor can there be. It is an authoritarian, ideologically rigid, and ultimately intellectually sterile philosophy. Study Tech reinforces Hubbard's demanding that his ideas not be reinterpreted or even debated. He explicitly puts the emphasis on rote learning, or duplication in Scientology jargon, rather than critical interpretation. And that's basically where Chinese school comes from. Chinese schooling in churches. Standing up there and fucking saying this, repeating shit over and over again until it's fucking drilled into your head. An MU keeps a person from duplicating what the written materials actually say. This is from HCOB, 30 January 1973. Hubbard considered it axiomatic that the source material, in this case his own writings, was the only true and accurate source of information. Indeed, he called himself source to make this point in much the same way as authoritarian rulers often like to call themselves the leader or commander, so as to emphasize their claim to be the only legitimate source of power. Critical or interpretive data or interpretive material was worthless in his view and should be discarded. This dogma of false data stripping appears in the basic study manual under a section labeled False Data, where the book states, "There is no field in all the societies where false data is not rampant. Experts, advisors, friends, families seldom go and look at the basic texts on subjects, even when these are known to exist, but indulge in all manner of interpretations and even outright lies to seem wise or expert. Where a subject such as art contains innumerable authorities and voluminous opinions, you may find that any and all textbooks under that heading reek with false data. The validity of texts is an important factor in study. Therefore, it's important that any supervisor or teacher seeking to strip off false data must utilize basic workable texts. These are most often found to have been written by the original discoverer of the subject, and when in doubt, avoid texts which are interpretations of somebody else's work." Go fuck yourself. First off, he talks about art. If any of you know anything about Scientology, you've heard about the art. If you know this about Scientology specifically, if you know about the art series, Hubbard fucking used the art series to basically say that, you know what the fuck did he say? We're gonna get a quick quote. Hubbard's definition of art. Art series. He studied art for 15... Oh, no, sorry. For 15 years, Hubbard said he studied art. And this is the definition of art that he came up with. Art is a word which summarizes the quality of communication. It therefore follows the laws of communication. Too much originality throws the audience into unfamiliarity and therefore disagreement, as communication contains duplication and originality is the foe of duplication. Technique should not rise above the level of workability for the purpose of communication. So Hubbard already had a definition for art. He's a fucking dick. Let's check my emails quick. Oh wait, I'm not logged into that email here. Yeah, seriously, fart series. Ooh, I like that stocking, and it's got the little cat on it. That's cool. That's cool too. There's another one. I like those. They did a really good job. Yeah, Hubbard did do a lot of drugs. Darvin? The fuck is the name? Pinks and Grays, and drinking lots of rum. In short, choose only textual material which is closest to the basic facts of the subject and avoid those which embroider upon them. No. Go die. False data stripping was Hubbard's way of telling Scientologists to disregard any sources of information of which he himself disapproved. The passage quoted above was his riposte, to Scientology's critics, who very often include the concerned family and friends of Scientologists. In effect, he's saying, ignore those people, they don't know anything about Scientology, and they're probably lying anyway. Hubbard used this doctrine to identify what he saw as more general sources of false data, such as particular books, journals, or authors. The original HCO Bulletin, which this passage of the Basic Study Manual originates, goes on to say, it can happen, if you do false data stripping well and expertly without enforcing your own data on the person, that he can find a whole textbook false, much to his amazement. In such a case, locate a more fundamental text on the subject. Examples of false texts: Eastman Kodak, Lord Keynes' treatises on economics, John Dewey's texts on education, Sigmund Freud's texts on the mind, the texts derived from the work of Wundt, in a textbook on proper conduct for sheep, written by, and as a joke, he gave an example called A Textbook on Proper Conduct for Sheep, written by A. Wolf. Man's texts and education systems are strewn with false data. These false data effectively block someone's understanding of the true data. The handling given in this HCOB or policy makes it possible to remove that block and enable people to learn data so they can apply it. A strict Hubbardian line on false data stripping would cut a swathe through learning. A swath, I'm assuming. Anything that contradicted the theories of LRH or was singled out by him for condemnation would automatically be regarded as false. This would include anything to do with psychiatry and psychology, much medical knowledge, anything to do with evolution, as Hubbard called it, man from mud theory, cosmology, atomic physics, economics, educational methods, aspects of biology, and so on. In short, it's very much like the sort of line that a conservative religious fundamentalist concerned with biblical purity would take. Creationists also try to get schools to engage in false data stripping by dropping or downplaying evolutionary theory. In denigrating the usefulness of derivative works, Hubbard overlooks or ignores the fact that knowledge does not simply appear from nowhere. There are surprisingly few completely original discoveries. Virtually every aspect of knowledge is developed over time by re-examining and building on the work of others. As Sir Isaac Newton once said, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. If Hubbard has been more self-reflective or honest, he would have acknowledged that he too owed considerable debts to intellectual predecessors. The study tech, for instance, owes much to the ideas of Alfred Korzybski. In the early days of Scientology, Hubbard credited him, along with an eclectic variety of other sages. But by the time the contents of the Basic Study Manual were written, Hubbard had decided that Scientology was entirely the fruit of his own inspiration and owed nothing significant to anyone else. His hostility to critical analysis and development was a notable illustration of his authoritarian and dogmatic approach to knowledge. Maybe we'll cover word clearing. The remedy for MUs is word clearing. Study Skills for Life includes a simplified treatment of word clearing using a 6-step procedure that begins with looking up the word and using each of its definitions in several example sentences. The student reviews the derivation of the word and studies any idioms associated with it. Finally, he reviews any additional information provided in the dictionary, such as usage notes or synonyms. Here's the one thing that bugs me about Hubbard. Well, one thing of many that bugs me about Hubbard. So Hubbard wants people to use a 6-step procedure that begins with looking up the word and using each of its definitions in example sentences. The student then reviews the derivation of the word and studies any idioms associated with it. So then there's also usage notes and synonyms. Hubbard's dictionaries, Hubbard's technical and managerial dictionaries, do not have derivations, idioms, usage notes, or synonyms. 4 out of the 6 things that Hubbard says should be in a dictionary that people should study when they're word clearing are not in his own fucking dictionaries. Piece of shit. The more comprehensive basic study manual describes 3 separate techniques for word clearing. They're called Method 3, Method 9, and Method 7. Method 3 is to be used when the student is showing a lack of enthusiasm, is yawning, doodling, daydreaming, or otherwise failing to make progress. The student is instructed to go back over the material he's been reading until he finds the MU. Quote, "There is one always. There are no exceptions. It may be that the misunderstood word is 2 pages or more back, but it's always earlier in the text than where the student is now." The word is then looked up in a dictionary and cleared by studying the definition, using the word in several sentences, reviewing the derivation, and so on. The basic study manual admonishes, quote, "Good word clearing is a system of backtracking. You have to look earlier than the point where the student became dull or confused, and you'll find that there's a word that he doesn't understand somewhere before the trouble started. If he doesn't brighten up when the word is found and cleared, there will be a misunderstood word even before that one." And that's when you're stuck on word chains. Well, word chains are when you're looking up a word in the dictionary, you find a word in the definition that you don't know, so you have to look up that word in the definition. No doubts about the effectiveness of Hubbard's methods are permitted. One must simply apply them until they work. In the second approach, Method 9, the student reads aloud to a partner, the word clearer, who watches for stumbling points. Any hesitation, mispronunciation, or fidgeting is taken as evidence of an MU. The word clearer must interrupt the student and get him to go back and find the word, which is then cleared by looking it up, verbally paraphrasing each definition of the word clearer and using the word in several sentences. In the example given in the basic study manual, the student reads, quote, "The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy fence," but the last word was supposed to be dog. The word clearer points out the error, and the student goes back and discovers that it's the word lazy that she does not understand. After reviewing the dictionary definition, she is able to read the sentence correctly. Later, the 2 persons switch roles, and when the former word clearer, now in the role of the student, reads the same sentence, it comes out as "the quick brown fox jumpled." The mispronunciation is caught and discovered to be due to a lack of understanding of the word quick, so the dictionary is brought out again. It's hard to take these idiotic examples seriously, or imagine anyone wanting to subject themselves to such a tedious procedure every time they yawn or make a slip of the tongue. But this is what Scientology says one must do to overcome the most important barrier to study, and this is what the study textbooks teach. Method 7 is intended for children, foreign language persons, or semi-literates, and also involves reading aloud. The word clearer follows along in his own copy of the text and checks for omitted or misread words, hesitations, or frowns. When one of these signs occurs, the word clearer identifies the MU and looks it up for the student, or simply explains it to him. Method 7 is intended to be used when the student lacks the ability to look up words for himself. The origin of this number system is revealed in the section of the essay titled "Word Clearing as Religious Ritual." We only have a little bit of a section left, too. I will read the rest of this section, and then I'm ending this reading part. I'm not going to read part 2. I will save that for another stream. Demo kits and the clay table. All 3 study textbooks also include sections on demo kits and clay tables as a means of getting the mass of the ideas the student is studying. A demo kit is a collection of odds and ends such as rubber bands, paper clips, corks, pen tops, thumbtacks, erasers, etc. The student is supposed to demo a concept by choosing several objects, assigning them significance, and verbalizing or physically demonstrating the relationships between them. In secular terminology, we would call this making a model. And while such activities are certainly beneficial at times, the authors of the study textbook seem to have no clue about when models are appropriate and when they're not. The example given in the basic study manual shows a girl looking down at a random collection of objects on the table in front of her, including a key, a rubber band, and a paperclip. The accompanying thought bubble reads the following. The key represents the student, and he's reading a page which is this rubber band, and he goes past a misunderstood word shown by a paperclip. When he gets here to the bottom of the page, he will feel blank because of the MU he didn't look up. Right, that makes sense. No, it fucking doesn't. If this is the best example they can come up with, then the utility of demo kits is a dubious proposition at best. The clay table is a more elaborate model-making practice, unique to the church. Once again, the instructions for this activity come directly from scriptures such as HCOB 11 October 67, called Clay Table Training. Students construct a clay demo of a concept by modeling its components in clay and assigning a paper label to each. The instructor is supposed to be able to infer the concept of viewing the completed clay demo scene. An example given in the study tech books is a clay demo of a pencil. The labeled parts are a thin cylinder with a point on one end labeled lead, another cylinder wrapped around it labeled wood, and a blob at the end opposite the point labeled rubber. Students are cautioned to label each object as they make it for a rather peculiar reason. This comes from the data, well, this is the quote from the Basic Study Manual, page 144. This comes from the data that optimum learning requires an equal balance of mass and significance, that too much of one without the other can make the student feel bad. Give me a sec. If a student makes all the masses of his demonstration at once, without labeling them, he's sitting there with all those significances stacking up in his mind, instead of putting down each one in the form of a label as he goes. No? What? I mean, if the student knows what the fuck he's labeling, then he shouldn't have a problem with this. The books go on to show how thoughts can be represented in clay. One makes a human figure with a label saying person, and then makes a sort of clay lariat coming out of its head. The loop of the lariat lies on the table, and within the loop, one puts a model of the thing being thought about. For example, a person thinking of a ball would be modeled as the human figure labeled person, a lariat labeled thought coming out of its head, and a ball of clay labeled ball sitting within the loop of the lariat. Clay table work is not only used to improve the student's understanding of ideas. Within Scientology, clay table processing, using the same materials and notational conventions, is a type of auditing or religious counseling. In HCOB 27 October 1989, How to Do Clay Table Processing, Hubbard warns, alright, first off, I'm going to tell you immediately, Hubbard did not warn this, David Miscavige did. Clay table processing is an audited action. Van Diesel, I think CO Bilf might have been joking. I think they were joking. Clay table processing is an audited action and is done per the rules of auditing and is always done with an auditor or student auditor or supervisor standing right there running the process on the person. Whether religious or not, the use of a clay table is clearly a simple-minded approach to understanding abstract concepts. Rather than promoting understanding, it seems much more likely that clay tables work, assuming that they work at all, as a visual memory aid. For instance, when discussing the composition of a water molecule, one could either describe it verbally as, quote, 2 hydrogen atoms attached to 1 oxygen atom, or visually as 2 similarly colored blobs of Play-Doh stuck onto 1 differently colored blob. Humans are naturally very visually oriented creatures. We had art long before we had writing. So it's not surprising that we often find images easier to recall than words. That's fine if the only goal is the accurate recitation of rote-learned facts. This is in fact the only goal that Hubbard was interested in with his students, but it is useless in developing the critical skills that are so necessary in the non-Scientology world, and that Hubbard was so conspicuously uninterested in encouraging. Holy fuck. There are currently 6 parts to this essay. The next part is about who wrote the study tech books, Hubbard being an educator. What's on the next page? What's on page 3? Study tech and Scientology doctrine. So is it secular or religious? Where does study tech come from? Mental mass and the E-meter, and word clearing as religious ritual. Study tech's place in Scientology doctrine. Study tech versus psychiatry. Study tech and educational disability. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. This essay was written by Professor David S. Turetsky from Carnegie Mellon University. I kind of want to look at the one about learning disabilities. Here's a quote that I just found. To understand this is from a man named Michael O'Brien from June 5th, 1996. Quote, to understand the significance of the word dyslexia in our modern world, it is important to understand the way the psychs work. They're essentially running a con game. All that they are and all the income they make depends solely and entirely on how effective they are as con men. Part of their smoke and mirrors is the development of resounding Latin and Greek labels, which create the apparency that a palpable pathological condition exists when there is actually nothing there at all, except perhaps a confusion. So he's basically saying that they're using Latin and Greek labels to make themselves sound smart. They then conduct studies which pretend to develop epidemiological statistics of the incidence of this made-up disease, and voila, you have a real disease. But the stats are all false. I know, I've researched enough of their studies to see how they do it. It would be best if Scientologists refused to use the word dyslexia, and whenever it comes up, nail it hard. Since dyslexia is defined as arising from a physical cause, the person purporting to label a child with dyslexia has the burden to prove that the child is brain damaged or otherwise physically damaged in some way. Failing that, the use of the term dyslexia is inappropriate. What a fucking dick. Another one from CCHR, from a woman named Marie Gale. She was the national spokesperson. Dyslexia is a psych term. It is a catch-all phrase that has gone from meaning reversal of letters to meaning anyone who can't read or study well for any number of reasons. It is a psych concept. So the first thing is to toss the word dyslexia. It's just more psych crap. Larry Price, a Sea Org evaluator, quoted from an AIDS Order 203-71 of 28 August 1981, saying, quite a number of children of Scientology Sea Organization staff are behind their grade level on studies in the public school system, which is absurd since we have study tech and WOGs don't. So they admitted that their kids were failing. Oh, you went to the Delphi school. Actually, no, you might be something else. Yeah, you're a plant. Wait, what? You're a plant. Delphi school. Hey, you just yawned. Go back and look up all the words I wrote and see which one you didn't understand. Study tech assessed whether it works or not. What experts say is study tech constitutional. Part 5 is the conclusion. It's part 6. Oh, acknowledgements and references. Alright. I know. Went door dashing yesterday before all these symptoms really kicked in. I was just dealing with a little throat irritation. And I had like the greatest DoorDash day of my fucking life. $160 in like 6 hours. I was gonna go this weekend. It was gonna be like, hopefully, it was gonna be one of my biggest weekends. But then I get this. I also get this. This issue right here. I was eating, and I cracked a tooth. So now I have an emergency appointment on Monday. Luckily, I think that was the tooth I had a root canal on. So I'm not in any sort of pain. But yeah. I get the cracked tooth. I get this. I don't even know if they'll let me in the fucking dentist office at this point. I mean, I'll wear a mask, but can't DoorDash, can't make money. I've got fluids. I've got lots of fluids. But I will say, it was very fun to read that, and that was only part one. We've still got 4 more parts to go, so I might do that in the next stream. Something I did want to look at. I got a couple of things up here with me. I've got Dianetics, the original thesis. I've got Science of Survival. I also have the DMSMH extension course. And my notebook for said extension course. I've got like 18 pages of notes and questions being answered. I'm on page 18. I know they may not want to work on my mouth if I'm sick. I get that, and that's what I'm worried about. I hope I'll be less congested on Monday, but I mean, hey, if they're working on my mouth on that day, at least I don't have to fucking breathe through my nose. I can just go breathe through my mouth. But yeah. I'm on page 18 of these notes, and I'm only on question 17 out of like 208. Questions such as, I feel like I'm answering an OCA right now. Questions like, let me take a look at these. Someone give me a random number from one to 209. I'm gonna take a quick look. A 64. All right. Your question is, D Essentials, your question is, what is meant by justified thought? Give an example from your experience. Amy M, your question is, what are the yardsticks of Dianetics? Question 3, give what you think is the most important part of the scope of Dianetics. Split diff, go 66. All right. I just saw one question that said, are engrams contagious? What is meant by a valence? Luckily, I already have a video about that. Go to my Quickie Scientology series. Chris Shelton answered that for me. A valence versus beingness. Slap LRH with a yardstick, I completely agree. In fact, I mean, if anybody wants, we can get him on the line for some questions. If anybody wants to talk to Ron, we can say some dumb shit. If anyone wants to turn this into a pissy Ron episode. AI Ron. That is correct, Van Diesel. There are 3 versions. There's Management Ron. I look like I have fat fingers. Fucking thin. There's Managerial Ron. There's Tech Ron. And there's Basic Books Ron. So who do you want to talk to? I've also got AI David Miscavige. AI Guillaume Lesev. AI Ray Midoff. And more recently, AI... Mark Yeager. That Elron stole it all. Yes. Admissions and the original OT8, but I'm also nervous to meet a celebrity. Admissions for what? You're just gonna need to clarify. I mean, I can get you the original OT8. I've got the original OT8 if you guys want to hear it. It says, by the time you read this, I will no longer be occupying... Probably shouldn't be reading this. I'm getting pneumonia. I'm gonna die from reading materials that I'm not spiritually ready to receive. Oh, the affirmations. I love those. Those are fucking funny. There are no snakes at the bottom of your bed. How he talks about, like, how he doesn't need fucking ulcers anymore or fucking stomach troubles because he's not dealing with the Navy. You know what? Do I already have the affirmations on the drive? Let's find out. I do. I have the affirmations. What the fuck? I carried this fear of disease to sea with me. I was reprimanded in San Diego in mid 43 for firing on the Mexican coast and was removed from command of my ship. This on top of having sunk 2 Jap subs without credit, the way my crew lied for me at the court of inquiry, the insults of the high command, all combined to put me in the hospital with ulcers. Maybe I am the Empress. You do not know, nor will I confirm nor deny the accusation before me. I would have told Ron to just quit his shit. Quit his bullshit. You are asleep. You are not accountable for anything you say now. No one will think any less of you. People want to help you. You have no urge to talk about your Navy life. You do not like to talk of it. You never illustrate your point with bogus stories. It is not necessary for you to lie to be amusing and witty. Oh, God. Oh, God. We have one about his singing. You can sing beautifully. Your voice can imitate any singer. Your tones are round and true. You have no superstitions about singing at any time. Your oratory is magnificent. Your voice tone's perfect. Your choice of words marvelous. Your logic unassailable. You will live to be 200 years old, both because you are calm and because of modern discoveries to be made in your lifetime. Fucker lived to 75. You will always look young. Your weight is 180 pounds, and you will attain and hold that weight. No. Your hair will always be its present color. It will be thick and beautiful all of your life. Hair will grow out to replace what you have lost. Have any of you seen the pictures of him from 1972? From Queens. Your eyes are getting progressively better. They became bad when you used them as an excuse to escape the Naval Academy. You have no reason to keep them bad, and now they can get well, and they will become eventually, starting now, as keen as an eagle's with the clear whites and green pupils. Sunlight does not affect them. Lack of sleep does not affect them. Your foot was an alibi. The injury is no longer needed. It is well. You have perfect and lovely feet. This is so stupid. You do not have malaria. When you tell people you are ill, it has no effect upon your health. In the veterans examination, you will tell them how sick you are. You will look sick when you take it. You will return to health 1 hour after the examination and laugh at them. The one I forgot about that was from fucking... No, I found the fapping. I already know about that one. First off, I found this one. You have no fear if they conceive. What if they do? You do not care. Pour it into them and let fate decide. Oh, God! This is so fucking weird. The slipperier they are, the more you enjoy it because it means their mucus is running madly with pleasure. Ew. That's fucking disgusting. You speak and understand all the French, Spanish, and Japanese you ever studied, and they remain wholly apart from each other and your English. You cannot forget words. It is impossible. You have them at your conscious command. Jesus fucking Christ, Albert. Where are the snakes? Where are the snakes? Masturbation does not injure or make insane. Your parents were in error. Everyone masturbates. I feel so bad for my mom. She can probably hear me reading these out. Said that everyone does it, and then in a later one he also says that he does not do it. Snakes are not dangerous to you. There are no snakes in the bottom of your bed. Snakes are wise beings. They are your friends. I think I know what we're about to do. Oh god, did we create a new fucking hashtag? Give me a sec. Give me 1 second. We wanted this to be a Pissy Ron thing. We're gonna make this a Pissy Ron thing.
Snakes are not dangerous to you. There are no snakes in the bottom of your bed. Snakes are wise beings. They are your friends.
We have hashtag pleasure mucus. We have hashtag rage hemorrhoids. We have hashtag yogurt dysentery. Well, I just made that one up, but I'm trying to think of the other hashtags that we had in previous like live streams and shit.
The two women you knew, Helen the comrade and Polly the skipper, were not worth an instant of your time. You do not love them, they were not worthy. You won over them.
Fuck it. It's the one I'm looking for. Not that one. I do not want to hear him say that shit. We're gonna do this one instead. Prepare yourselves. It's about to get NSFW up in this bitch.
Masturbation does not injure or make insane. Your parents were in error. Everyone masturbates.
This is what I do with my time. Why? I should make a video that's just the affirmations read out by Hubbard. Be funny as shit. That's all I'm gonna do for right now. For that. If anybody has any requests, I will take them gladly. We're at almost 3 hours into this stream. Holy fuck. Shut off the audio. We are going to load up Hulu. Because I'm going to listen to some stuff. There's already a fucking ABC 2020 special for Luigi Mangione called Manhunt. Christ. Give me a second, I see requests.
I do not need to hide from government officials. They all welcome me into their countries.
The fuck, dude? Say it right.
Your sojourn to Target 2 is not a mere excuse to do gay things with Captain Bill. It is important to disseminate standard tech throughout the galaxy.
And there you go, CO Bill. No problem. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna end the stream. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for having fun. This was fun as shit. I loved it, even if I'm hurting vocally. But oh, wait, hang on. I might have requests. Hang on, I gotta do this. Alright, I will end that off tonight.